So I read this wild story the other day at like 3 a.m. It was about this woman named Claire Sylvia. Now, Claire, she was having some major heart issues, so she had to get a heart transplant. This is my prop. Thank you. The transplant was successful, but I guess as soon as Claire woke up, she felt something was off. She had all of a sudden this overwhelming desire for beer. I mean, it's not that weird, but it was weird for her because she'd never cared about beer before this. She wasn't even much of a drinker, but it didn't end there. Claire was also dying to get her hands on some Chicken McNuggets. Again, I'm like, what's the problem? No, but Claire, I guess, was very healthy, never ate fast food, especially not McDonald's. So it was like, what the hell is going on? What happened to Claire? Well, after some digging, she found out who her donor was. And, maybe you guessed it, the donor was obsessed with beer and chicken nuggets. And the more Claire found out about him, the more she realized that, she had taken on a lot of his personality. I was like, ooh, weird. I mean, does this happen to everyone who gets an organ transplant? And I'm hearing that they're putting pig hearts in people now. So it's like, are we gonna start acting like pigs? Maybe, I don't know. So many questions. And today we are going to answer them. Welcome to the dark history of organ transplants. Buckle up, it's gonna get a little weird. Friends, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. My name is Bailey Sarian, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast, Dark History. Hi. Here we believe history does not have to be boring. Yeah, it's tragic a lot of times. Sometimes it's happy, but either way, it's our dark history. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hello, I come out with that hot, juicy history goss every week. And let me know what you think down below in the comments section, because I love hearing from you. Speaking of that, I respond directly to your comments at the end of every episode. So stick around because maybe I'm talking to you and you missed it. All right, now let's get into it. Organ transplants. This is a heart. If you're listening on the podcast, I am holding a heart. It's been given to me as a prop and I don't know what to do with it. Hi, just popping in here really quick. Ignore my face. I just wanted to let you know that we will have a new episode of Dark History on August 7th, wherever you listen to podcasts. And on YouTube, it'll be available August 8th. We're just gonna be gone for 1 week. Don't miss us too much, okay? We need to do some further research on an episode. Thank you so much. Now let's get back to the story. Let's talk about organ transplants because they are actually way older than we realize. In the year 1550 BC, the first rumored transplant was written down into history. It was actually called the Miracle of the Black Leg. In the story, the Christian patron saints of medicine and surgery, Saint Cosmas and Saint Damian, performed leg surgery on a Roman deacon. This deacon had cancer in one of his legs, so the Christian saints removed his leg and sewed on the leg of an Ethiopian man who had recently died. Now, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this story because many believe it's actually not true. But either way, it actually inspired generations of doctors to get creative with organ transplants. In 1817, a French physician named Henri Dutrochet wrote a letter to a French medical journal about an interesting procedure he was told about. Apparently over in India, a soldier in the army had been very naughty. So naughty that he was given the punishment of having his nose cut off. So the soldier was, of course, mortified. So he went to an Indian surgeon in the area to surgically reconstruct his nose. Maybe you remember, but we did talk about this procedure briefly in our plastic surgery episode, remember? I'll link it down below if you want to watch. Anyways, but the soldier told the medical team to do whatever they had to do to fix his nose. So the medical team told him to turn around and drop his pants. And it sounds like a joke, but this is serious. They said, drop your pants. And they decided to get the skin needed for his nose from his butt cheeks. Yeah, apparently he had, you could say a full behind, This is their technique. Okay, listen. They start smacking his butt as hard as they could with an old shoe. And the goal was to have the butt cheeks swell, okay? Because if they swell, you have more to work with, I guess, It sounds fake, but this is real. This is history. As soon as it was swollen enough, the team took a knife, they cut out like a triangular piece of skin, and then they surgically placed it on the man's nose. So he's really like a butt face. Yeah, whoa. So they put it on the guy's face, and they seal the man's butt nose with plaster. And ta-da! He was cured. Apparently, the man healed so well that he was actually able to return to the army. This story uncovered the incredible medical techniques Indian doctors had been using for hundreds of years. It's just kind of funny to imagine like your butt on your face. But like no one has to know, but we all know. For the rest of the 1800s, most organ transplants were exclusively skin related. Your skin, if you don't know, is the largest organ on your body. Fun fact. But doctors wanted to take the next step and like go for something bigger. So they went after the kidney. In 1906, a surgeon named Dr. Matthew Jaboulet performed the first ever kidney transplant in a human. But there wasn't like a line of people waiting to give up their perfectly good kidney, Everyday people thought the whole idea of organ transplants was really morbid and no one wanted to be a part of it. So the surgeon turned to the animals he had near him. The closest ones he had near him were a pig and a goat. He's like, that's what I got to work with. Pigs and goats, they were already part of the food supply in the area. So there were like a ton of them and they were available. They had nothing on their schedule. So he was like, why not? Let's try this. Dr. Jaboulet put a goat kidney in one person, and then he took a pig kidney and put it in the other person or another person. But sadly, both experiments were unsuccessful. Over the next few years, several surgeons performed over 100 versions of animal to human kidney transplants. They even tried using monkey kidneys, but the patients, unfortunately, they died like right away. In 1933, there was a Ukrainian doctor named Dr. Yuri Voronoi who performed the first successful human-to-human kidney transplant. Define successful, you say? Well, they lived for a few days, A few days is better than nothing. So doctors, they're like, okay, we're onto something though, right? So they kept experimenting until finally it seemed like they had cracked the code. Joan is always on my case to eat more protein. I'm always snacking on like Snickers and Kit Kat bars. The mini ones, of course, because they're not that bad. But sometimes it can be hard because the closest thing to me is the mini Kit Kat and not something healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just easy. But that's where Hungry Root comes in to save the day. Ooh, I freaking love Hungry Root. I got my delivery yesterday from Hungry Root and it was so good. Oh my God, I was like, okay, I'm into this. There were tons of high quality groceries. There was snacks and oh my God, I got this delicious rice pudding. Yes, I love rice pudding. Okay, it's so good. But there was this delicious rice pudding and I inhaled it. I'm thinking about it right now and my mouth is watering. Plus, with Hungry Root, they make eating healthier, easier. So put down those Kit Kat minis, Bailey. Put them down. They offer all these different protein-focused snack packs that just really hit the spot and are perfect for those midday cravings. Yes. Hungry Root is the easiest way to eat healthy. They send you groceries, delicious recipes, and they even offer essential supplements. I was like, what? Okay. It's like having someone else like do all of the planning and shopping for you, so you don't even have to think about it. Each order with Hungry Root is fully customizable, so you can take their suggestions or choose anything you want. They've got fresh produce, they got high quality meat and seafood, healthy snacks, smoothies, sweets, vitamins, supplements, and so much more. Everything from Hungry Root follows a simple standard. It's gotta taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole, trusted ingredients. Right now, Hungry Root is offering Dark History listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/darkhistory to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/darkhistory. Don't forget to use the link so they know we sent you. In 1954, there was a man named Richard Herrick who was traveling home to Massachusetts, and he was rushing to get there because at just 23 years old, Richard was dying from a rare kidney disease. So he was receiving treatment at a local hospital, but he only seemed to be getting worse. It was kind of looking like there was no hope. But there was this surgeon, Dr. Joseph Murray, who was a surgeon and professor at Harvard. He heard about his case and he actually got really excited. Dr. Murray knew Richard would be the perfect candidate for his kidney transplant theory. You see, Richard had an identical twin brother, and Dr. Murray believed using one of his twin brother's kidneys would be foolproof. Richard and his brother knew he didn't really have any other options, so they volunteered for this experimental surgery. So they took the twin brother's kidney, plopped it in, and it worked. Richard became the first patient to ever have a successfully transplanted organ. He went on to marry one of his nurses from the hospital he had the surgery at, and they went on to have 2 kids together. And it just sounds like such a special Lifetime movie, right? So until the 60s, surgeons mostly focused on experimenting with kidney transplants. They were trying to perfect that organ transplant process so they could move on to something else. And the results, I guess, were very hit or miss. But doctors kept getting creative when it came to experimenting. There was a team at the University of Mississippi, and they were conducting hundreds of lung transplant experiments on dogs. And after they finally succeeded, they tried the procedure on a patient, but using human lungs instead. Sadly, he died only a few weeks later. But these doctors, they're saying to themselves, Rome wasn't built in a day. It was 7 days. And every doctor in the game was convinced that they had the best technique for how to fix what went wrong after the surgery. So the doctors, they just needed the human organs to actually test it out on, right? And they discovered that the best human organs were the fresh ones. In 1967, Dr. Christian Barnard was already a household name in the scientific community. I guess he had pioneered many open heart surgery techniques and other surgical procedures, and he was kind of like a god when it came to heart surgery. But his true passion was heart transplants. I guess until this point, a heart transplant had never been done human to human. Dr. Barnard and his brother had been practicing heart transplantation with dogs for years, but he never had the right opportunity to perform the procedure on a human. And then in December that same year, an opportunity fell into his lap. Dr. Barnard had been operating on a patient with an incurable heart disease. His condition was way too advanced for fix-it surgery, so he didn't really have much longer. And then at the same time, there was a woman who was in her mid-20s. She was brought to the hospital. I guess she was in a really bad car accident, and sadly she passed away, but her heart was still perfectly healthy. So Dr. Barnard took advantage of this, and he didn't let the young woman's organs go to waste. So he declared the patient brain dead, detached her from the ventilator, and then took out her heart. Oh yes. He then put the heart into his other patient who was dying, and it was successful. I guess it worked. This was a groundbreaking moment. Dr. Barnard had performed the world's first heart transplant. Well, did he though? Because the man who received the heart actually died 18 days later. So would you say that was successful? In his short time alive, the patient who received the heart transplant gave Dr. Barnard and his medical team, I guess, very valuable information so other patients could hopefully live longer. Even though these surgeries were huge successes, you can say, there were some, I guess, moral questions that started to pop up, which is fair. Just 1 month after Barnard's human heart transplant, there was a man named Dr. Norman Shumway who performed the first human heart transplant in the US. And I guess it was very controversial, even for the doctors. So during the surgery, the chief resident who was assisting Dr. Shumway asked, quote, "Do you think this is really legal?" And then the doctor responded, "I guess. We'll see." I guess the problem was that like lines were getting very blurred when it came to where doctors were getting the organs. There wasn't like a system in place, you could say. At this time, you had to wait for someone to pop into the hospital and be either dying or like they just died. And if there was like a fresh heart or kidney or whatever, some doctors would do anything to like get their hands on it, even if that meant like not getting the patient's permission. You know when you need to make an appointment to see a doctor, but like you can't find the number or you don't even know like what doctor to go to because you're like, what insurance do I have? And then you just get overwhelmed because you're searching and Googling and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's too much. So you just abort mission. Same. It's happened to me more times than I can count. That is, until I found ZocDoc, the sponsor of today's episode. I love ZocDoc. If you don't already know, ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and then click to instantly book an appointment. So no more frantic Googling for a doctor or awkward phone calls. You do it all on the app. Oh, it's great. Plus, with ZocDoc, you can also see their actual appointment openings, choose a time that works for you, and click to instantly book a visit. It's so easy to use. Sometimes I just look at randoms like doctors' offices that take my insurance. There's so many doctors I didn't even know about who all specialize in something very unique. So I'm looking, and sometimes I book just to like, I don't know, like an earwax specialist. I was like, okay, I'm in. Boop, booked. Why not? Whatever. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, who are located by you, who are a good fit for any medical need that you may have, and also who are highly rated by verified patients. Again, all on the app. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast. I mean, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. What? I know. I was like, I don't have to wait 6 months. Pfft. I mean, you can even score same-day appointments. It's great. I love this app. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/darkhistory to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/darkhistory. ZocDoc.com/darkhistory. On May 24th, 1968, there was a 54-year-old man. His name was Bruce Tucker, and I guess he was injured at work. So he fell off of a brick ledge and he suffered a horrible head injury. So he was taken to the hospital for treatment, but sadly he ended up passing away. On May 25th, like the very next day, the Medical College of Virginia decided to not let Bruce's body go to waste. So they sewed Bruce's heart into the chest of like this guy who needed it, who was like a rich business executive. So this was like one of the first heart transplants in the United States. Therefore, it got a lot of media attention. Plus, on top of that, it also gave the medical school funding. After the transplant, the Medical College of Virginia became known as the kings of organ transplant science. But there was just one problem. Technically, they stole Bruce's heart. I was thinking, well, Bruce is dead, and someone else needed a heart. But no, because Bruce's family, they didn't even know his organs had been removed from his body until the funeral home he went to flagged it for them. They're like, hey, he's missing some shit. I guess the funeral home told the family that there was something off about Bruce's body. They're like, something's not right here because he's missing a kidney and a heart. And I'm not a doctor, but I think you need those, So when Bruce's family hears this, they're absolutely horrified. They had not consented to his organs being donated. And this, I guess, kind of opened up, is that Pandora's box? Because it showed or it uncovered a horrible trend that was actually happening. So at this time, I guess the area in Virginia, it's called Richmond, everyone kind of knew, but because they were known for body snatching. I guess doctors in training, they would wait for bodies, bodies of dead people. And then they would use them to practice how to dissect on them, do doctor stuff. And these doctors were actually known as resurrectionists. And it's funny, you might be like, this sounds familiar because we actually did another episode on this. Look at us, just coming out with the greatest hits. But I did an episode on this for Dark History called The Doctor's Riot. Yeah, doctors riot, all about body snatching and stuff. It was wild. Here's the thing about resurrectionists in Richmond. I guess they weren't just like waiting for any bodies. The major problem, was that they were specifically waiting for bodies of Black people. Now, when it came to Black working class people like Bruce, the doctors, they knew they could get away with this. In the 60s, it was very common for some doctors in Virginia to treat their Black patients like they were experimental material for the hospital. They knew at the time like Black patients didn't have the same legal protections as white patients, and so they took advantage of that. I mean, shit, if it wasn't for the funeral home, Bruce's family probably would have never found out what happened, you know? Well, Bruce's family did end up suing, but after years in court, I guess the jury sided with the doctors. There was no justice for Bruce and his family. And I mean, the doctors essentially had to face no consequences for their actions. And Bruce's story highlighted like the horror show that was becoming organ transplants. So for the next few decades, things in the organ transplant industry are a little chaotic. They're just, again, no formal system. They're just kind of guessing. If a patient comes in and they need like a transplant, they would look to a local organization. And if they didn't have the organ that you were looking for, it was like, sorry, Aunt Bertha, you are out of luck. There's nothing here for you. On October 19th, 1984, the federal government stepped in. So they ended up approving a new proposition, something called the National Organ Transplant Act. So this was supposed to create a better system of connecting organ donors to organ recipients. And it also gave a person who died rights to their own body. Because I guess like organ snatching was just common. It's just what they did. So this Organ Transplant Act gave the family ownership over their loved one's body so they could decide what to do, right? And even though this was like a good thing in the end, there was still a massive shortage of organs. And people still had to jump through all kinds of hoops to get a kidney or like a heart that they needed. And the list was growing longer and longer. So doctors realized that maybe they should get creative and maybe they should go back to like the old school way of things. So they decided to turn to something that was almost human, something that seems like it made sense on paper. I'm talking about animals. They're like, let's go back to the animals. The act of transplanting an animal organ into a human is called xenotransplantation. We already know that doctors had been experimenting on animal organs, but it was never successful when it came to animal organs being put inside of humans. In the past, doctors tried to transplant like lamb, goat, and I guess even rabbit organs inside humans. And there was even a heart transplant surgery between a baboon and a child. But the patients, they would never live longer than like a few days. So these doctors decided to try for something a little closer to a human. How about a chimpanzee? Kind of makes sense, maybe, if you squint. I mean, like, they're kind of similar to us. Plus, experts say that their kidneys kind of work just like ours, and their organs are a similar size to ours. And apparently, they have a type A and type O blood types, just like us. Doctors tried the chimpanzee kidney transplants, and I guess like the results, they weren't horrible. Patients lived anywhere between 11 days and some even like 9 months after surgery. Now, again, to us, simple humans, we're like, well, it's not working then, okay? But to the doctors, they were like, this is a sign. We're onto something. Like, we just have to keep trying. I guess the answer, though, was not chimpanzees, because I guess they were too difficult to control, and the results just, they weren't paying off. Also, when the public found out about this, people were very upset. Oh, yes, that, the chimps were being experimented on in this way. But many doctors knew that they were very close to xenotransplantation working. So they were like, we just need to keep searching. Yes, we do. Now, cut to 2023. So the organ transplant crisis, it isn't getting any better. Currently, there are over 100,000 Americans just waiting for an organ transplant. Like doctors are racing against the clock to get patients the organs that they need. And they still believe like the key to fixing this issue is to turn to animals. Okay, great, let's brainstorm. Can you guess like what animal they're gonna turn to next? I was like, giraffe? Hippo? I'll tell you after the break. Come back. Summer is here. And for me, that means I'm wearing less makeup. Unless you're watching this ad right now, I'm wearing a lot of makeup, but I've been wearing less makeup because it's hot outside and I sweat. But my skin is rough right now. Okay, my dark spots, they've been showing up. I went outside and I didn't wear SPF and I paid the price because my dark spots on each side are now thriving. And it's like, I don't want to like cover it up with makeup because it's hot outside, but at the same time, I want to cover the dark spots. So I'm in a bit of a pickle, but it doesn't have to be with Apostrophe. Yay. Apostrophe's goal is to help you feel confident in your own skin. So whether you're dealing with breakouts, signs of aging, or acne scarring, Apostrophe will help you love the skin you're in. If you don't know, Apostrophe is an online platform that connects you with an expert dermatology team to get customized acne treatment for your unique skin and all other like skincare concerns as well. Through Apostrophe, you can get access to oral and topical medications that use clinically proven ingredients to help with whatever your skin concerns are. Now, all you have to do is fill out an online consultation about your skin goals and medical history. Then you snap a few selfies, of your face, and a dermatology provider will create a customized treatment plan just for you. Now, Apostrophe offers access to prescription treatments for like all types of skin concerns. So again, dark spots are happening. So I went on to Apostrophe, updated my profile. They sent me a prescription of tretinoin, which is essentially retinol to use like at night. This product helps with like fine lines, evening out textures, helps with breakouts, dark spots. I mean, it helps with everything. It's like this like magic product. But you gotta make sure to wear SPF. They also have SPF products too. Right now we have a special deal for our audience. You can get your first visit for only $5 at apostrophe.com/darkhistory when you use our code DARKHISTORY. Now that's a savings of $15, friends. This code is only available to our listeners. So to get started, just go to apostrophe.com/darkhistory, then click Get Started. Then use our code Dark History at sign up, and you'll get your first visit for only $5. A big thank you to Apostrophe for sponsoring today's episode. Now let's get back to the story. The doctors, they turned to a pig. I know. I was like, out of all the animals, a pig? All right. Kind of came out of left field with that one, but all right. So the doctors, they chose the pig as their next test subject, I guess for a couple of reasons. One, pigs breed and give birth several times a year, so there is a huge supply. And most importantly, pig organs are close to the same size as ours. Plus, doctors have been repairing human hearts by using the heart valve of a pig for, I guess, years now. There's lots of medications that are like, there's like blood thinner and like allergy treatment, and these things are made from pigs. So it just kind of, I guess, made sense to give pig hearts a try. It's on the list. They're like, just do it. I don't know. Pigs are smart and they're very lovable and cuddly and so cute. But I'm not saying this, but they were like, people don't seem to care about like pigs as much as they do chimpanzees. So they won't really care. So the public, they were like, okay, whatever. Like I eat bacon, so go for it. So the very first pig heart transplant, I guess, happened in January of 2022. I know. I think we were just preoccupied with the fact that like COVID was going on, so we probably didn't even notice that they were doing pig heart transplants. That's probably why it just breezed right past us. But they did it. A man named David Bennett, I guess he volunteered for it. He was brave. He was like, I'll do it. David was an end-stage heart failure and like, nowhere near the top of the list to receive a heart transplant. So when doctors gave him like this option for a little more time, he decided, F it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the chance. So after hours of surgery, David made it out alive. And to everyone's shock, the pig heart transplant was a success. Suddenly, tens of thousands of people on the waiting list for a heart had hope. I mean, maybe they didn't have to wait on the transplant list forever. So the press was all over this. And it seemed like maybe the future of heart transplants was here. Nope. Just kidding, because David died unexpectedly 2 months later from heart failure. Doctors discovered after his death that actually there was a virus that was within the transplanted pig heart called PCMV. So maybe it wasn't the heart, it was maybe the virus, And I guess this virus, it activated once it got into David's body. And I guess that's what caused the heart to fail. But after this, there was now even more paranoia surrounding xenotransplantation. But of course, that's not going to stop people from signing up for the pig heart. Hell, maybe it'll work, It's better, I'd rather get an extra 2 months than nothing, right? In 2023, a man named Larry Fawcett, he signed up to get a pig heart. So I guess the heart disease that he had, it would reject a typical heart transplant right away. So when he was given the lifeline of the pig heart, he's like, let's go. Let's do this shit. September 20th, 2023, Larry underwent the pig heart transplant. And just like with David Bennett, the media was all over it. Larry made it out of surgery alive. And after some testing, the doctors declared his surgery was a success. So as soon as Larry woke up, he asked the surgeon for a t-shirt. Well, I'm sure he asked for other things first, okay? But this was one of the things he asked for. He asked for a t-shirt that said, "Just call me Wilbur." And we're like, ha, 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 ha. He's in good spirits. And he was thrilled to be given another chance at life. But sadly, I know, there were complications. About a month later, I guess Larry's heart didn't seem to be doing too well. So doctors, they were speaking with him every single day. And it was becoming clear that the amount of blood his heart was pumping just was not enough. So they placed him on an ECMO, which is a heart-lung bypass machine that helps pump your heart. But Larry knew it wouldn't be enough. Eventually, he told his doctors that he would like to be removed from the machine. It's so sad. So I guess it was said that Larry wasn't crying through his last days on Earth. He spent the rest of his time joking and reminiscing with family and friends. And his wife said, quote, "He got to say those things that you don't get to say to people because you always think you have more time." Aww. It's true, but it's sad. Oh, well, Larry ended up passing away on October 30th, 2023, and this was about 6 weeks after the surgery. People like Larry give hope to the xenotransplantation community, and quote unquote success stories like his also drive the organ transplant community to figure out how to fix the problem. They're onto something, they're just not fully there. A big part of this community is a company called Revivicor. Sounds sketchy, huh? What are they doing? Well, let me tell you. This company is essentially a research farm that experiments on animals with one goal in mind: animal to human organ transplants. The farm has 2 buildings, and there's a lot of pigs there, around 300, and they're all for research purposes. And they're not just using any pig. They are using the Rolls Royce of pigs. Oh yes, these pigs are actually specially designed and cloned pigs. This way they can make sure that the pig hearts function properly, and again, they don't have any viruses. Dr. David Ayers, who runs the company, said, quote, "It's exciting. We've been working on this for more than 20 years, and it's no longer a science fiction experiment. It's actually a reality." Wow. I know. Every day the farm is said to get closer to perfecting the pig transplants. But like everything we do, there's still a lot of risk. Many doctors are concerned humans with animal organs will somehow take on those animal viruses and, then pass them on to other humans, and bada bing, bada boom. It's a shit storm. Paul's always trying to invest his money. He's one of those people. Me, on the other hand, I find it a bit intimidating. Where do you even start, Well, with Acorns, they make it easy to start automatically saving and investing for your future. You don't need a lot of money or expertise to invest with Acorns. In fact, you can get started with just your spare change. Acorns recommends an expert-built portfolio that fits you and your money goals, then automatically invests your money for you. With everything that goes on in life, like bus, another bus, club, sleep, Another club. No sleep. The last thing you're thinking about is investing or like how to save for your future, you know? That's why I have been liking Acorns, because they have easy, automated investing, which gives your money like a chance to work towards your financial goals with roundups, expert-built, diversified portfolios, reoccurring investments, and more. You can save with no hidden fees, and you can even invest automatically from every paycheck if you wanted to. Head to acorns.com/darkhistory or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. Paid non-client endorsement compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/darkhistory. You know what I've been listening to on Audible this month? In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I read it and I was like, I want to listen on Audible. So it takes place in November of 1959 in the small town of Holcomb, Kansas, okay, where 4 members of the Clutter family were savagely murdered. It's a true story. There was like no apparent motive for the crime, and there were almost no clues. So this was one of the first nonfiction novels ever written, and Truman Capote goes into great detail reconstructing the murder and investigation that eventually led to the capture, trial, and execution of the killers. It's so good. Wow. I was like, wow, it's so good. Highly recommend. If you don't know, Audible has the best selection of audiobooks without exception, along with popular podcasts and exclusive Audible originals, all in one easy app. Whether you want to listen to stories, motivation, expert advice, any genre you love, you can be inspired to imagine new worlds, new possibilities, and like new ways of thinking. My favorite thing about Audible is that you can listen to it while you're doing other things, like household chores, exercising, on the road, commuting, you name it. Audible makes it easy to be inspired and entertained as part of your everyday routine. Without even having to set aside extra time for it. There's more to imagine when you listen. Sign up for a free 30-day Audible trial, and your first audiobook is free. Visit audible.com/darkhistory. That's audible.com/darkhistory for a free 30-day trial and your first audiobook for free. And then plus, there's the ethics of it all. Besides cloning and breeding some pigs from the farm, some believe that they're also kind of playing God by changing a pig's DNA. They're actually using the same techniques that they used on Dolly the sheep. Do you know who Dolly the sheep is? I know, neither did I. I forgot about this story, but it was real. I guess in 1996, Dolly the sheep was like the very first successfully cloned sheep to ever be made by humans. Again, this was very controversial because, who do these scientists think they are? Are they God? Well, but scientists use the Dolly cloning technique to essentially edit out all of the malfunctions that happen when a pig heart is put into a human. Now, this way there won't be issues like blood clots, or stuff like that. That's all I can think of, blood clots. Because so many people are upset over the whole concept, they won't even look at the benefits. A bioethicist named Dr. L. Sid Johnson is a concerned person, okay? She said, quote, "The risks could really be catastrophic from a novel mutated virus that might infect a human." Dr. Johnson and other doctors also are calling out the fact that creating, breeding, and sacrificing thousands of pigs every year just to harvest their organs is cruel. Quote, "They're treated like machines for the sole purpose of being disassembled to provide spare parts for humans," end quote. And you can say, yes, that is exactly what they are doing. Whether you agree with Dr. Johnson or agree with the clone scientists, one thing is clear. We are running out of organs. In 2023, around 46,000 transplants took place. So over half of the people on the waiting list just don't have good odds. So what happens then? Well, that brings us to the black market. Black market. In Canada, it's estimated that the average wait time for a kidney is 4 years. And some people wait as long as 7 years. And in the United States, The average wait time for a kidney is around 3.5 years. But some people, they're not able to wait. They need a kidney now, or like they're gonna die. Because of that, some people start to kind of take matters into their own hands by turning to the black market. The black market for organ transplants isn't new. I remember as a kid, like you would hear like, oh, you're gonna get kidnapped and your organs are gonna be sold on the black market. Which is such a weird thing to say as a kid. Like, how did we even know that? I don't know. It was like a fear back then. I don't know what that was about. So if we go back to like the 1980s, people were looking for ways around all of the government regulations. No one wanted to wait on this long list to maybe get an organ. So people were like, let's just do it ourselves. And human organ trafficking popped off. And I guess since then, it's really only gotten bigger. There's this company, it's called Global Financial Integrity, GFI. They have been like fighting this black market situation for years. They estimate that like 10% of all organ transplants are done via trafficked organs. I guess it's an industry that's in the billions. The most popular organ on the black market is the kidney. It's said that over 10,000 kidneys are traded on the black market worldwide every year. And if you do the math, boop, 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 that's like 1 kidney every hour. So politicians, they don't usually talk about this type of trafficking because, it's not very exciting. It doesn't really grab attention like sex trafficking does. But I think you and I can agree that it's important and kind of spooky. There's not really like a ton of law enforcement surrounding human organ trafficking. And in some countries, I guess it's run by like the most elite of organized criminals. What I just learned right now 5 seconds ago, you can sell your organs to the black market. Yeah, you can actually be like, here's my kidney, and people will do so because, they need money, or maybe they owe a lot of money to like these organized criminals or something. Usually though, like if you do end up selling your kidney on the black market, you kind of get ripped off. Like sometimes they'll like give up the organ and they won't get the payment yet, or they won't get the payment in full. They'll get like half up front or something, and then you'll never see them again. It's been reported that like over 80% of organ sellers don't receive the money that they were promised. With all of that being said, I guess the question is, what the hell do we do? Many experts in the field of organ donation believe that the solution is to start with the root of the problem, the transplant list. As of 2024, I guess there are over like 103,000 people on the waiting list, and every 8 minutes, another person is added to the list. There's this company called the United Network for Organ Sharing, aka UNOS. They have been in charge of the organ donation program for like 40 years, and I guess they match people on the transplant list with donor organs by coordinating with like other hospitals and donation groups. But like this company has control over the whole organ transplant process. So no new systems are allowed in to like improve it or make adjustments or something. I guess all that's about to change as of now. The system is up for bid, meaning someone is allowed to come in, buy the program, hopefully make it better. But this is dark history, and like I'm sure someone could also F it up. I think we can all agree that the system is broken. Or maybe it was never right. I don't know. But thousands of people are being added to the organ transplant list like every single year. It's sad. They don't know if they're going to get matched. And in 2024, it feels like maybe by now we would have it figured out. But obviously we don't. But it's like, what else are they supposed to do? And people are like, well, what about the pig farms? What about the pigs? It's like, well, I don't know. And we know that when human lives are on the line, unfortunately, a lot of the times, some lives will be lost. So next week, we're going to dive into a topic that every single one of us probably has a touch point with. Some people love to talk about it. Some people would literally want to talk about anything else. The Puritans used to throw ragers when this happened. President Lincoln inspired an entire country to pump their bodies full of chemicals because of it. And now, more than ever, there are controversial industries popping up all around it. Next week, we're going to be talking about death. Whoa, I know that's dark. But like all the shitty stuff that happens around when you die. So next week, we'll be diving into the dark history of the funeral industrial complex. Or like the dark history of death. I haven't decided yet. Let me know which title I should go with. Well, friends, thank you for hanging out with me today. What'd you learn? Yeah, me too. Hey, did you know you can join me over on my YouTube where you can actually watch these episodes? Oh yeah, on Thursday. It's like after the podcast airs. And while you're there, you can also catch my murder mystery makeup. That's on Mondays. And don't forget to subscribe and stuff because I'm here for you weekly with new content. I'd love to hear your guys' reactions to today's story. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you're saying, what you want to talk about. Maybe you have experience with organ transplants. Maybe you're selling them on the black market. Now, let's read a couple of comments you guys left me. Yay! Let's just do this. Let's just do a whole episode of me reading comments, huh, Joan? So Katie, the psychic lady, 2342, she left me a comment saying Joan needs some earrings and other accessories. Don't tell her that. It'll go straight to Joan's head. I mean, she takes things very personally. Now she's going to go home and cry. You feel good about that, Katie? You're getting bullied. Meg Shuda 6624 left a comment on our Challenger episode. We need an audio clip of the "ooh, somebody's in trouble" and make it a ringtone for the boss. LOL. Bailey, you slay me. Hey, how do I make it into a ringtone? Let me know down below. I mean, I would use that for my ringtone. Smoothie Queen, I already like you. Smoothie Queen 42 left us an episode suggestion saying, Bailey, you're the best. Do you think you could do a video on Australian forced adoption era? Well, Smoothie Queen, thank you, first of all. That was very nice of you. Second of all, I've never heard about this, so I've got a lot of questions thus far. I will do some Googling and goggling. I actually tried to do an episode, it was going to be the dark history of Australia, but then it got complicated. So maybe I'll look into this instead. Huh? Thank you for the suggestion. I'll look into it. I'll probably stay up all night researching it, and I'll let you know. I love you. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate you for, hanging out, engaging. Keep commenting, because maybe next episode I will feature your comment. Huh? Maybe I won't, but maybe I will. And hey, if you don't know, Dark History is an Audio Boom original. Special thank you to our expert, Dr. Heather Dewey Hagborg. And I'm your host, Bailey Sarian. I hope you have a good rest of your day. You make good choices. And I'll be talking to you next week. Goodbye.